I'm Sara Alves.
And I'm Mikolaj Stoma.
And this is We Vlog.
Think back to the last time you were walking down the street and someone caught your eye. What was it about them that got your attention? Was it the way they looked, smiled, walked? Or maybe there was an unusual aura about them, something you couldn't quite explain. So, what is attraction? Attraction, especially in a romantic way, is a very complex process that takes place in our brains and has had its roots since the beginning of humankind. It's our mind's way of telling us who has the potential to be our partner, our friend, or our soulmate, and is based on a complex blend of our interests, values, experiences, and desires. Physical and romantic attraction, which are often focused on, are only small facets of a much larger equation.
Hi everyone, so this is our third episode. Yes, we've been here that long. This episode is going to be slightly different from the others. We had coronavirus, we had the leaders of causes, and now the third episode is laws of attraction. So this is a romantic topic for all the lovers out there and all the single people who are craving to be in love, or at least to be attracted, or at least to have some physical contact with someone, because, you know, now with the coronavirus it's quite difficult. Yeah. We are the lucky ones, but I mean, a lot of people are not, and the dating life is a bit in a pause right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of apps right now. You have Bumble, and you have Tinder, and you have other apps that you can use, but it doesn't necessarily mean that is the same things.
I mean, the best you can get as a dinner date with a stranger is do a Zoom call.
Yes.
And order some Deliveroo for each other.
I think we should do that. I think one of these days we're gonna do that. We're gonna make a Zoom call, and we're gonna record it, and we're gonna see like how would it look like.
How would it work? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. I think we're gonna do this either throughout the week. We're gonna do this. I think it's like a really nice challenge.
It's essentially forcing everybody to do long distance dating.
The question of the day: how do we get attracted to each other? Is it a chemical thing? Is it a psychological thing? Is it both? Is it like physical only, and then we rationalize it? What is your opinion?
Well, I think it's kind of a combination of all the above. Mm-hmm. But I think for some people, the physical attraction may be stronger than psychological, and the other way around.
I think attraction is not just by the looks or by, you know, chemically, I like your smell and I like to be with you. I don't think it's just that. I think that is a really big component which distinguish people from, you know, friendships, because I mean, we are a good example. That we started as friends like for many years. Then I was attracted to you physically, but I would just block it out because I was in other relationships before, so I would never pursue it. I don't know, what do you think? You did the same. I was in relationships before.
Yeah, I think we didn't notice each other because we had various times where in relationships, it also kind of showcases that the attraction is not just one component. It has to be a combination of several in order for people to act on it.
Nonetheless, it is important to have the component of the chemical component, because if you don't have that, like, as much as that the other person is amazing and talks and has the same values, is quite difficult. It happens to me throughout the years. Example, feeling very attracted to someone to a point that I will be a bit blindsided, to a point that I will forgive things that I shouldn't forgive, that I will see some flaws in personality or flaws in values, and I will just close my eyes because I was so attracted. But purely physical attraction, or this kind of illusion that you create, because people with attraction we create illusions of people, of what the person is like, in the long run probably wouldn't have worked.
I heard of, like, purely on a biological level, the physical attraction lasts approximately 3 years. Mm-hmm. But anything that happens beyond, it's something that both people need to work on.
Yes.
And this is where psychological attraction comes in very strongly, and also the commitment that people have had to each other so far, the amount of time they invested into building up that relationship. Yeah. That starts to play a much bigger role.
Does the duration impact the level of attraction? Is that even a thing? Like duration, like the exposure to one another? does this make another person fall in love, or its duration not a thing, and people would fall in love regardless?
I think people may fall heads over heels in love if there is a very strong physical attraction. But on a psychological level, I think duration matters a lot. So, for example, if two people spend enough time together and start trusting each other, that provides the impulse to probably take the next step before the other circumstances line up.
Yeah, it happens to me. Like the boyfriends that I had before, some of them, they, we got together not because I was physically attracted to them. That was an interesting thing. Like they, despite what people think, that first you have to be attracted to the person, and then you get to know, and then you kind of end up together. In my case, it was completely the opposite. It was like I was never attracted to those people, and then suddenly I started to get to know them. They started to insist going out with me, and I was like, okay, we're just friends, but I'm going out nonetheless. And then I started developing feelings. And I was always praying, like, one day I would like to just end up with a boyfriend that actually likes... that I actually like, that is really on paper, like you're really on paper. But I was always like craving, like, but it happened in a different way, because it's kind of like, it took like 6 years until it happened. It's just kind of funny.
I think the attraction may build up within an existing relationship as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, something that starts out as an intensely physical relationship, or something that starts out as at a point of idealization of a person.
Yeah.
So somebody who, let's say, you idolize, somebody who is your role model, somebody who you try to follow in every way, becomes available and becomes interested in you. And that can be our foundation for a very strong initial push in a relationship. But then it could also build up further. But it could also have the opposite effect. So, for example, as we discover more about the person and we find out that the person is not exactly the kind of ideal image that we have built up of them, that attraction may dissipate.
No, that's really true. And I think there's a difference between physical attraction and psychological attraction. Because there are people that I'm physically attracted to, but then when we start speaking, we have no connection whatsoever. And then there's the opposite. There are people that I'm not like feeling horrified by them, but at the same time, they're not my type, but their conversation is so luring and so beautiful, and their values are so amazing that I started like to like the person despite the physicality. And sometimes physical attraction happens later. Like, the other question is, when we start liking someone, is it good to already tell the person and set the boundaries straight and say, oh, I like you? Not completely like when you meet the person, of course, but if you imagine you have a person, you see a person, you feel attracted to the person, and then after a couple of months, or weeks, depending on people, you get the courage, you start developing feelings, you feel like you like that person. Is it better to say it, or if you don't develop feelings but you really like the company of that person, is it better to say I don't like you, or is it better to just make things flow and then say it and put the labels much later? Your thoughts about that?
I think one probably shouldn't be jumping in, trying to put on labels from the start, especially if it is a relationship between two people who met as strangers. But at the same time, I think it's also important not to leave things muddled for too long, to kind of establish what both people are going for. Are they just enjoying each other's company in a non-committed setting? Or do they want to build something more exclusive? And I think when there is a mismatch between people's intentions, that can lead to a lot of hurt and disappointment for one or for both.
Yeah, talking about commitment, that's the problem, is that for me, things are not really black and white. There are people who like to commit, there are people who just like to have fun, but there are people who like both, want both, and that's really complicated. I mean, we have distinguished like experiences one another like before this, but I think, you know, I had one experience, and it happens a lot, like people saying, oh, you're really attractive, but I have work is my priority, so I just put it in front. I think it's a bit soon to say these things, because you'll never know. I think it's a bit ridiculous already to say a person, you're the love of my life, when you don't know the person. But it's also ridiculous to say, oh, I will never have anything with you, especially if you're physically attractive. I mean, if you're not physically attracted to the person, I think you're entitled to say, no, I'm not. If it's really disgusting you, it's entitled to say no. But if you have a little bit of, you know, you kind of want to know the person, and if you're already trying to like a few things about the other person, I think it's a bit premature to say, I don't want anything with you. Unless the other person declares to you and you don't feel the same. Like if a person declares, oh, I'm in love with you, and you don't feel the same at all, and you don't see it, then, and if you're not attracted at all, like, then I think you should say it, like, straight away. But if there's still some doubts, or if you are really attracted to the person, or if you already kissed the person and you felt good, and you made the other person feel good, why already compromising and saying, oh, I had a traumatic experience in the past, so let's block it? Because you are blocking something that might work, that might be the love of your life, you don't even know, and you're already like blocking, you're already like compromising because of past relationships, you're already destroying something at birth that you don't know if it's gonna be good. And that's what a lot of people do because of traumatic experiences in the past, or because they have a love of their lives before. They don't let themselves be happy. They don't let themselves like another person, get to know another person. They get scared. There's a lot of men out there and women that they like someone, they get attracted to someone, they make the other person feel special, and then suddenly when they start to feel that this is becoming too special, they just run off. And that's very toxic. Toxic not only for the other person, because the other person gets rejected and doesn't understand why. It's like a ghosting thing, like, why? And I don't believe it's because they find the person unattractive, because if you find a person physically attractive first, I don't think there is a way to find unattractiveness in terms of physique. It's impossible. Unless the other person said something that is really a no, I think it's really rare. So like leaving like that without saying anything is bad for the person that they left, and is also bad for them because they will never let them be happy, and kill potential partnership.
Yeah.
What about attraction in a workplace? You have like a really strong conviction about this. Like if you like a person, would you be with a person in a workplace?
No. So I have a very strict rule about attraction in the workplace. I think personal life and work life are things that somebody's identity and to an extent sanity depends on. Yeah. And I think these things should be kept as separate as possible. Yeah.
Like for me, I mean, I have a completely different opinion from him. I really think that sometimes is very fruitful to have a partner, especially if you are in an artistic environment. I even, like, before I started with you, I said, like, my next partner has to be from the cinema, from the film industry, because I want to be this kind of power couple. And normally it happens a lot, like, couples between actors, between cinematographer and director. They normally work if you have a strong connection, because partnerships, working in cinema, and if you do like a long film, it's like a marriage. And sometimes it's easier to actually bring your hubby, your husband or your wife to it and be part of the process. And it's a beautiful journey. It's a very artistic journey. It's not like a really headache. People are really passionate about these things. So I think it's quite beautiful and it's quite interesting to be with another person, with the other half in this journey. Because I feel like even if I have to speak about cinema the whole day and even come home and speak about work, it's not a problem for me because I'm so in love with it that even if we have to come out and we do different projects, we talk about the different projects, we bring the whole work, like work is an extension of my life that I really love. It's like a passion with versus work is like the same thing. So yeah, sometimes it's good to talk about other stuff than cinema like we do, but I would love to sometimes have this kind of partnership and talk about film. Well, now we are not, but we are doing this vlog together, so we're kind of like, we're kind of experiencing that, even though we're not doing a film. But I like that. I think that partnership is good. Like, we have that in music.
We do.
For example.
We pretty much met each other through playing in a band.
Yeah. So, I mean, imagine if this was just your source of income and you didn't have anything else. Like,
yeah,
that would be the same. It
becomes a family business in a
sense.
Yeah,
it becomes a family business. And I think it would work. Final question is about distance in terms of dating, which we're talking about, which is a great topic, which using apps, social media apps, to actually find love.
I think people can get attracted even without apps. I've seen relationships happen when people would meet each other online, just talking to each other, having video calls, and starting long distance relationship, which eventually developed into cohabiting relationships.
Yeah.
So it's not something new. However, I suppose they are more challenging than meeting face to face and having the physical interaction as well.
Yeah, for me it's a bit weird because you can like a person physically, you can like what the person talks. I mean, you can have both. Although physical, it's a bit confusing because sometimes pictures can be enhanced and you don't know exactly. And sometimes online, a man can be a woman. You know, you don't know who is behind the camera. But sometimes, you know, physically it's not exactly what you see. So that's why I feel it's a bit tricky for me. Because I think it's not just I like the picture, I like the talk. It's just the chemical thing, like the smell, you know, the touch. I need to like these things. I want to have these things before I say I'm committed to someone. And for me, starting a relationship like that and calling the person, this is my boyfriend, without even getting this process of touching and smelling and using the senses, it's a bit weird to me. I don't know how people do it. There are people who do it. Maybe they are lucky. It's like a shot in the dark, and then they see the person and it's exactly what it is, the picture, or better than the picture. The talk is the same because it's the same person, but then chemically it works. I just feel like it shouldn't be like the first tool for it.
Yeah.
I think it's really a good tool if you are a person that your circle is very small, that you tried everything, you try different circles, you try to different hobbies, or you don't have time for the hobbies and your work is too time consuming. I think for these people, like, apps are a good thing. But just for sports, it's fun just to have a fuck and leave. But for a long-term relationship, I don't think it should be the first thing for you to go for. I think I'm very traditional. I think the physical thing and meeting people in person, I think, should be the first way to go. And if this doesn't work at all, then go the app. But yeah,
definitely. It would be interesting to see a survey after this lockdown is over.
Yes.
How people establish relationships and how well did they last during this lockdown period.
Yeah. And if you like to comment it, you can just comment below and tell your story and just tell us if you agree with us, if you're not, if you actually find apps very useful and you actually found your love through them. It's like, I would be really interested in that because I'm very skeptical about that, and I just really need to hear a lot of first account stories just for me to believe it. Thank you so much, guys. This is the end of Vlog of this weekend. We're going to have our next episode next week again on a Saturday night. I hope you guys are healthy and safe. See you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.